Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Sketchy. And today I once again brought with me the American man, no, not Bleach. Yes, Fat Dave. Say hello, Fat Dave.
Hello. Good morning,
Evening.
afternoon, evening,
Yeah.
wherever you're listening from.
I mean, it's pretty much the middle of the day for me, so.
Yeah, it's very early in the morning for me, but
Yeah.
that's
And who knows what kind of time zone or time of the year will be when you see this. We're recording this in, like,
right.
what, December?
It's December, yeah, beginning of December.
Yeah. Time is
So,
overrated.
yeah. Well, that's the good thing about having preloaded content.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've got a homie. I work with him. His name's Zuva, and he does like beats. He makes like rap trap beats and shit like that. Which, if you're into that, they're really good. I think they're pretty good. And just no lyrics or anything, just beats. And he had his shit. He just made a ton of them, and then he just scheduled it out. And I talked to him in like January, and he had his whole like channel thing scheduled out until November.
It's cool.
And he's releasing a video. He was doing one video a week, so he's got a video scheduled to come out. So he just made a whole ton of them up front and then scheduled them all to come out, which is a good way to do it. And I should have probably done it that way. My channel would have lived a little longer, or I would have had maybe a little more longevity. But because I would
Association
do
is
like,
gay. Let's put it like that.
yeah. Well, I would do like 9 or 10 paintings a week usually. Because I would paint when I was in the prime of my channel. I would paint Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights, and then also Saturday and Sunday usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Friday nights I would stream, because that's when I would do that Blacklight Friday stream where I would paint in blacklight and stream it to the like 3 people that ever showed up. But I would do my paintings, and then the next day I would edit the videos and put them out. Or, the next day or two, I would edit videos and put them out over the course of the next day or two.
Well, it is just really nice thing to do in order to guarantee that you have at least some kind of weekly content. And again, I'm happy that you're joining me for this. So
yeah.
as every video we have a little bit of a slight tangent, which is always nice. It keeps the subjects fresh, I think. And also,
right off the bat.
I have the focus of a goldfish, so it's bound to happen, guys. This is the tangent.
Yeah.
And
you know what? If you had like super awesome like focus, you wouldn't be able to draw and have these dumb conversations at the same time. So it's a good thing you're able to hummingbird brain a little bit on it.
Yeah, okay, that's a nicer way of doing it, because hummingbirds are both adorable and cool because they don't see the fucking wings when they flap.
Yeah.
Crap. Blast X censored. It's not been 5 minutes yet. Oh, I swear like a sailor. Anyway.
And that's yeah. One of the funniest things I've heard lately is my son posted a meme, and it was man, being diagnosed with ADHD must be embarrassing. Like, oh no, I have iPad baby brain and I gotta take meth for the rest of my life.
That is
It's like,
huh.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's really accurate.
No, seriously, that is actually pretty funny, because we have a chef on the ship who is also has like high level ADHD, and every time he's gonna take his pills, he just announces, because again, the workplace has an extremely strict anti-drug use drug use, and he is like,
oh yeah,
now I'm gonna take some meth. And then usually
it's the weirdest thing.
It is so cool. Oh, but yeah, subject matter. Damn it, we did it again.
Oh yeah.
So right now I am drawing what looks like a scarred puppet, and this is also we're just following up on the previous subject we were doing with the taggards and the
Yeah.
and the what, thoughts? No, it's satyrs.
So The satyrs, yeah. So again, this is the Fablehaven book 1, where we're still in the Fablehaven story. This is Mendigo, not N. He's not Mendigo. He's Mendigo,
Yeah, you
and with only one N. And so not to be confused with a Mandingo, which is completely separate. He is a lumberjack puppet who was owned by Muriel, the witch, who we talked about in a previous episode.
Yep.
And he starts out as he's introduced as a harmless toy, but then becomes a very sinister figure later on in the story.
Yeah, you told me about a chase scene, which is basically what I'm trying to... So, sort of like a more creepy version of like this sort of limbless creature just running after you. Kind of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it is. It's well, you got to think about it, because he's held together by hooks. And when he's a lumberjack, if you know what a lumberjack is, or it's just a puppet on a stick with loose joints, and people use them to dance. They bounce them up and down and make them dance, and it's like
it's kind of like
it's an old timey shit.
Yeah, the hooks are like the ones I drew on the corner here. So
yeah. He's held together. So in Mendigo, specifically, is held together with golden hooks. And he so he starts off as a sinister figure. He starts off as a harmless toy, becomes a sinister figure, and then later on in the series, he becomes very helpful.
Yeah, didn't you say in Muriel's episode that Mendigo became he changed owners after Muriel was captured again?
Yeah, so after we'll get to that point in the story. Right. So I finished telling this, I'll tell the story. So he's he does eventually get turned to become helpful, and then he becomes an endearing character, despite the fact that he does not he has no emotion. Right. There's nothing that but because of what he is and how he is, he's like selfless, and so he ends up doing some heroic things and becoming very endearing throughout the story until he meets his eventual end, which is weird because it's like, well, he's just a puppet. Like, I shouldn't be this upset about it, which is kind of how the characters in the book deal with it a little bit too, is that he's really just a puppet. He never had any emotion. Like, we are more upset about this than we need to be.
Yeah, though,
really,
I kind of can understand that. It's like having this.
But
it's like having your favorite tool, and suddenly, imagine you have a favorite hammer that you like to use, and suddenly the handle snaps and the head just falls off the head, and then when you pick it up to look at it, you just see how busted up it is.
It is, but even then, like, because of the anthropomorphization,
words
of the character, because they made him seem more human. He is more endearing, and they do mourn him. They do and the thing about it too is that he gets broken or destroyed a few times and gets brought back, and then at one point he just doesn't.
Yeah, that's actually pretty clever. A lot of writers do that to things. Kind of like the Blue Beetle. It gets trashed a lot, and when the biggest one comes along, you don't expect it, because it has happened so many times, so often, that when it finally breaks down for the last time, you're like, oh.
Well, it turns out the magic really resides in the hooks. So as long as they can save the hooks, then they can rebuild it. And that's kind of represented by the stitches and stuff in it, because he's been put together a few times. Now, not at this point in the story he hadn't, but that's okay. It looks cooler.
I'm gonna add the stitches because I'm giving him essentially what I'm trying to do is this sort of limbless chaser, And while
Yeah.
it's kind of like the one from the far future doing what the one from the far past does, it's kind of there to make sure that, because I
Yep.
like scars and things. It's
And this
character.
is the and so this is the climax of the book, actually. And so it's really a super tense scene in the book, because what's happening with so at the point in the book where Kendra's being chased, Muriel had escaped and captured everybody.
Oh,
And Kendra had barely escaped from Muriel, and Muriel sent Mendigo after her. And she didn't know what to do because the house wasn't safe. The and she so she and everything else had been destroyed, and that's when she ran to the pond and the Fairy Queen shrine. And so she ran to the boathouse and got in a boat and went out, because she knew that would the only way she would be safe from Mendigo would be out on the boat. And when he got near the shore, the naiads, or the nymphs in the water.
yeah.
They're nymphs, they're not naiads. The nymphs in the water grabbed him and took him apart.
Oh,
Yeah, because he's just hooks and, he's just pieces of wood on hooks.
yeah.
And so they grabbed him and took him apart. And that's how he was ultimately stopped in the first book. And then after everything's said and done, the fairy queen, or the fairies, or the nymphs return his pieces at the fairy queen's behest, and that's when they change him to serve the Sorensens, who are the main characters, Kendra and Seth,
Yeah.
and the people who own the farm. Their name is Sorensen.
Sorensen. That is a name that is very much. It sounds like Sørensen, which is pretty much a classic Norwegian name.
Yeah, it is. It's a classic, like, Norwegian name.
Yeah. Represent.
So, but so that's kind of, I think, the scene that you're trying to emulate here is her chasing him, which is scary, right? Like, if you were a kid and you were being chased by a fucking, like, a 6 foot tall, jangly wooden faceless senseless golem,
Yeah.
like, it would be pretty fucking terrifying.
I'm just gonna put it like this. When I was a kid, I saw the scene. You know the scene from Terminator 1 when the T-800 finally loses all of its skin and just chases this limping chains towards Connor and Kyle, right? Yeah. That stop motion jank as it moves after them. I saw that, and that terrified me as a kid. That movement is just so uncanny valley.
It is. It's like all the Korean horror movies and Japanese, like The Ring.
Yeah.
Or The Grudge, where the chick's walking backwards down the stairs, like all that weird body horror.
Yeah.
Like people moving. It's an uncanny valley thing of people moving in inhuman ways.
Yep.
Right? Like, your legs aren't supposed to be able to flop up by your, like, you're not supposed to be able to wheel your arms and legs like they literally don't have a joint.
Exactly.
Like they're literally on a swivel.
There's a sense to the world, and these things don't follow it, and that is terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is kind of why zombies to me are more scary than werewolves, because werewolves, there's a logic to them. They're a bunch of furry critters that will try to rip you apart and eat you. Okay, fine. The worst that can happen is I get mauled to death and then eaten. And zombies, on the other hand, it's a walking corpse. That isn't supposed to do that. Why is it doing that?
Yeah.
And the moves and the movement. It is just this jittery, slow. It's almost you get this feeling that it's inevitable, and the inevitability is something that is really terrifying too. If the inevitability is a bad thing, few things are more terrifying.
Well, and I think one thing the zombies also represent is the relentless, like, persistence of time, and that inevitability and that relentlessness is the fact that they're already like, hey, you've already surpassed your expiration date. Why
Why are you still here?
Why are you still here? What are you doing?
Can you please stop?
I think the most terrifying thing about zombies is necessarily the implication that if you die, you're going to become a zombie, but also the fact that there are a lot of dead people, there are a lot of dying people, so there's going to be a lot of zombies.
Yes.
So the zombie apocalypse doesn't seem like an unreasonable outcome to an actual zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, because they're
like the weird movies.
As an individual, they're not scary, but together, they're dangerous. And it's kind of what made The Walking Dead so scary in the first part. But of course, then they trivialized the zombies completely.
Yeah.
You could just kept making it scary that every single death just adds to the horde, which it did. But then it's just like, we don't. It just shows that zombies is only as scary as you allow them to be, because you can also trivialize them if it's just walking corpses. If you make them walking corpses, but if you must have something added with them or in them to make them even worse, you know?
Yeah.
It's the factor that allows them to be terrifying. To it has to be a logical threat, right? George A. Romero had the space radiation and the virus.
And the idea of it is always that it's a world-ending threat. It's an apocalyptic threat, right? And I think that the lamest thing that The Walking Dead did was they started getting all preachy about this meta commentary about how, oh, humans are the real bad guys. You think zombies are terrible, but humans are really the worst of what you need to deal with. And it's like,
them and every fucking one else.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we get it. We get it. I've heard that 100,000 fucking times. I get it.
At this point,
I
just much rather just want a lich instead, and be like, oh, the lich made it.
That would be awesome. A lich in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden there's just a lich appeared.
Hi there, I'm a lich. I made all of this happen. Now give me your brains.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a hint that we should talk about the Undead King sooner or later, too.
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right.
So yeah, Mendigo goes to chase her out onto the lake. He gets taken apart, and then he becomes a good guy, and then that's how, that's the beginning of his good guy arc.
Yay!
Where he becomes more helpful throughout the farm. But I like and also one of the things I like about the character is that he's a toy, and the way he's constructed would be seemingly harmless, right? Like little wooden, like dangly wooden limbs on hooks. Like this shouldn't move on its own. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be scary. But then when it grabs her, or when it grabs them, and it's like, oh shit, he's strong.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god, they really have to watch out for him. He becomes a formidable enemy. Very much like the Terminator in a sense, because he's this mindless, unstoppable, and his one goal, he follows his orders singularly, right? Like that's how he ends up getting fucked up so many times throughout the series, is because his like overarching directive is, protect the kids. And so, which is the same thing with Hugo, who we'll talk about. Hugo's the golem.
So Hugo is a elemental from nature. Well, the Mendigo is pretty much just this artificially created by humanoid, right?
No, Hugo's artificially created. He's an artificially created golem.
Oh, okay.
Later on in the story, he becomes more of what they call a true golem. The first book is really the catalyst for a lot of, obviously it's the fucking jumping off point for the whole series, but it's the catalyst for the hero's journey of a lot of the characters in there, and it really like sets them. it sets them apart at the end of that book.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good jumping off point for the rest of the series. And you can read the book, and it's like the one book, if there wasn't a sequel to it, it would still be a good book, because it's like, oh, well, they've wrapped everything up kind of nice and tidy. If you don't, if you don't know the overarching story of the secret society trying to overthrow the preserves and bring back the Demon King. So, yeah, Mendigo and Hugo. So Hugo, after the Fairy Queen heals everybody, the fairies rebuild Hugo because Muriel destroys Hugo, and just basically turns him in, or one of the imps, actually, I think, is Muriel or one of the imps, I can't remember. Destroyed Hugo, turned him into just basically a pile of dirt, right? Like disincorporated the magic from him, and he just turned into a pile of dirt.
Literally,
and then
ended his existence.
Yeah, just pull the magic out of him, and he just turns into a pile of fucking dirt. The fairies, when they healed everybody and everything, turned him into what they called a true golem, which is more like an earth elemental in that it has base sentience, or it develops sentience. So before, Hugo was just a he was farm help. He was created to help do the heavy shit on the preserve and to help keep the order.
He was a human-shaped tool, basically, a walking tractor.
Yeah, basically a giant stone and earth, or dirt and earth tractor. And once the kids were clued into the secrets of Fablehaven, then they started, like Seth and Hugo, like Hugo would cooperate, would bring Seth with him into the woods because he knew, or Seth would bring Hugo with him into the woods because he knew nothing's gonna fuck with Hugo, because he's a giant pile of dirt. And the fairies, in their small state, weren't gonna fuck with him. And they couldn't have done much to him because he was just a big lump of magical earth who was largely resistant to man. I'm not fucking with
that. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah, and so Seth would bring him along as like his wingman for protection and shit. And so he, so the picture I sent you, it's a picture of Hugo and Mendigo. They're both artificially created. Hugo eventually becomes more, once he's restored, he's actually upgraded to a real golem and starts forming more sentience and actually starts talking a little bit, which a regular golem would, because it is just a more or less a mindless automaton. And later on in the book, so Hugo, one of Hugo's things is to milk the cow. We talked about the big cow.
Or, maybe we should stick to Mendigo instead of Hugo, because if we're gonna do a separate video for Hugo, we can cover.
We'll do a separate video for Hugo. But no, the one thing is that, so Mendigo eventually ends up taking over the milking duties on the cow.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so he, and the way they milk the cow is they just jump off a ladder, because it's a giant udder, so they jump off a ladder and grab it and slide down it.
Of course.
So, yeah.
I can imagine it already.
And so he helps, so Mendigo helps, and the thing that eventually kills him is a dragon.
Oh.
Like, he goes through a poison swamp, and he does get burned up, I think, by acid at one point, not acid, he gets burned up by fire, to where the only thing they have left are his hooks.
What have you done?
And they take him to a wizard, and the wizard
my brothers,
fixes him and making him better.
What needed to be done?
But his one prime directive is protect the people of Fablehaven. And so he'll, like a mindless automaton, he'll do it.
Like a good boy.
And so, Yeah.
Aladdin couldn't save him.
And as a result, when he meets his eventual demise, it's a tragic part of the story because even though he is just a
It
mindless,
is the name of this place.
he has saved them a few times at that point in the story, and so he's endearing. He's an endearing character.
Yeah.
Horus, you brought the war
Again,
master to a fane.
it can something
Are
can
you
be a
mad?
character without
The
being
commander
a
would never have
character.
agreed to this. Maybe
Yeah.
not. And by the end,
Yeah,
he
and
couldn't even
that's
speak.
interesting too.
He
How
spoke to that damn remembrance woman for hours on end before he lost consciousness. We had to place him in a stasis field to keep him alive long enough to bring him here.
how people put
Is this a
you know, you put human emotion or you apply human emotion like we do to our pets all the time. Like, oh, you know, we know they're happy, but it's like, oh, they're my cat, my dog feels bad. Well, they might, you know, or my dog misses me. It's like, yeah, your dog's probably hungry. You know,
your
stuff
wife.
like, and that may be, you know, but yeah, exactly. So, like, you know, humans have a tendency to imply emotion where none exists, or to apply emotion onto an unemotional or emotionless creature. I think maybe just to make it more relatable.
I mean,
I don't know.
you
Probably
do
talking
that
out my
even,
ass.
especially for like vehicles, like for your car. Many people go around giving their cars names, but you also have the
savages.
you also have for a ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people working on the ship has been working on the boat I work on for long periods of time. They just call her a her, you know. The big girl, the whole, you know, trying not to say the name of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yep, I got you.
yeah, it's
That seems to be a common boat thing.
yeah, it is, and it becomes its own character, its own person in its way.
Mm-hmm.
You live there, you work with it. Hell, it just everybody who listens to this now, work, hobby, or just in general, you have a tool, and it is your favorite, right? The thing you use the most. And there's this connection you have with it, and there are sometimes you'll be like, yeah, if you treat it harshly, you will have this twinge of guilt as you do.
Yes.
Everybody has it. Even the people who knows it's a tool, they have this irrational part, just immediate reaction. If you take like a knife and you drag it along the stone, you will have this natural reaction of, yeah, that ruins the edge, but you also will have this, shit, I'm sorry.
I believe you have all been deceived, my brothers.
It makes me, well, I think boats especially, like, yeah, people are,
all else is false.
but I think because a boat is such a critical thing for survival when you're on it.
Yes.
Right, like the boat is the only thing standing between you and a watery death.
Yep.
And so in that sense, you do have to put more emphasis on it, more care towards it, because otherwise it's like, well,
stand with us.
and I feel like you would develop a more sense of gratitude towards it because it's keeping you alive. And because when you're out on the water and fucking weird shit happens, it's there to keep you alive. So I think that like people who like anthropomorphize their boats are doing it on a and I think people even say, you know, they do it to their cars or anything like that, but I think it's an entirely different level with the boat than it is with the car.
But this is ritual.
Because the more necessary it is for something, the more attached you become to it.
And the more, like, the harder to replace it is. Right? And the more crucial it is for your survival and your enjoyment in that situation.
Yeah.
You know?
There are some ships in our fleet that has been given a new name for no good reason in many people's opinion, because they'd be like, nah, I prefer the old name. Nah, I'm still calling her that.
Yeah, you know, like Twitter and X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Twitter.
I hate that. Really I never call it X. They still call it Twitter.
Same. Because then you can say twatter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and even the bookmark. Well, I think I had my bookmark since it still was Twitter.
Yeah.
But my bookmark is home/Twitter. So I Yeah, it's like an unsuccessful rebrand kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's out of all the things Elon Musk have done, it's the one I disagree with the most.
I'm kind of, I'm kind of Swiss on the decision. I think it's a dumb one, but I'm still kind of Swiss on it. Like, meh, whatever. It doesn't upset me.
Nope.
It's just like a dumb one.
It upsets
So,
the right people.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with it because while I'm ambivalent to it at this point, but seeing the right people shriek about it, it fills me with this childish joy of childish satisfaction.
Look what you have become. A freak. A monster.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a mean guy sometimes.
Is that what you were going to say, you hidebound old fool?
Oh, okay, so I'm reading on the wiki about him, and it's reminding me, reading more stuff about.
You used the wiki?
Why?
It's the naiads. They are naiads. Okay, it's not nymphs. They're naiads. Sorry, I've been saying nymphs and I mean naiads, but it's the same damn thing.
Oh, do you mean naiad, dryad?
So naiads are freshwater nymphs.
Oh.
So naiads, but the things in the water, they're naiads, but they're nymphs. They dragged him down into the water, and that's the first. In the first book, that's what happens. They take him apart. Oh yeah, Kendra throws his arm into the pond, and then when he goes to get it, because he's reaching for her through something, like through the door of a boathouse or something like that. I can't remember, and she just pulls his arm, like unhooks his arm, and throws it into the water. And then he goes to get his arm out of the water, and that's when they pull him in and take him apart. And then he's returned. And then in the next book, he helped. Next few books, he helps out, and then in the fourth book, he gets destroyed by a poison dragon. And how he's carrying a fucking sword and goes in to kill this dragon because he's the only one that can do it, because she's putting out, she just has, the whole room is poisoned and the kids can't get in there, and nobody can get in there, and so he goes in there and kills her, but then the poison dissolves him down to hooks, and so they take the hooks and give them to a wizard.
He doesn't go alone then.
No, he kills her, but in the process of killing her, he gets coated in her poison and it dissolves all the wood, leaving only the hooks. And so they find his hooks, and then they take him to a wizard named Agad, who, I think I mentioned casually that wizards are just descended dragons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they take him to a wizard, and he's able to rebuild him, and he ends up giving him a little bit of sentience, because it's mentioned later that he is hanging out, like watching TV with Seth, even though he never, because he doesn't have a face or a mouth or anything, so he couldn't possibly talk.
So then he basically does become a death in the end when he dies. In a way.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of trails off. It doesn't give a whole lot, but he's brought back eventually in the end. But it's really tragic when he's destroyed, and it's unsure whether they're going to be able to bring him back. And when they are able to bring him back, it's kind of like a hopeful thing. It's definitely a hopeful thing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think it would be possible. But I thought he would be a cool looking subject to for you to draw today, and for us to kind of backdrop for us prattling our nonsense again.
So far, I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm very soon done with the line art, and I've been doing this for like 30 minutes, so yeah.
Yeah, we're cruising along.
Yes.
I kind of figured that a reference a reference doll would be really easy to draw, basically.
Yeah. But then comes details, and my autism is like, Easy, you say?
Yeah.
Funny. Let's see. I'm trying to get the whole splintered thing going. If you see what I'm saying. If you see what I'm trying.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm looking. Yeah. No. It looks good.
Interesting part is going
Just
to be adding shadow and stuff to this.
Yeah, putting the wood texture on.
Yep. Haven't done wood in a long time, and certainly not using only this. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So we're once again seeing Trim doing new stuff.
Yeah. I like to challenge you.
Yeah. But I'm already challenged. Let's see.
So yeah.
I've always liked drawing
That's
scars and marks and stuff. It's cool to me, at least.
Yeah. Scars are cool.
Yeah.
So like skulls. Skulls are cool. So I do a lot of skulls and shit. Like, yeah, skulls are just cool. I feel kind of like an edgy nerd sometimes with it, but like, man, but that picture, some of the pictures that I've gotten are just fucking cool.
I've seen some of their newer stencils. They're metal as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, the last few stencils I cut, which I wish I had a good opportunity to use them. But I might actually.
Association can suck.
Apartments.
Yeah.
Man, and that is so. After my kitchen flooded, like one of the doors on my cabinets under my sink, because of the fucking water damage, like the door has pulled out of the fucking shitty ass particle board. They have it. Yeah. So, and also my faucet's leaking just slightly, but not like leaking underneath. It's just got a weird leak near the tip.
Yeah.
And so I need to just have them come out and fix that shit. The problem is I don't know if I have faith in the current staff to do that properly.
No,
like,
because why would you trust them? What have they done to earn your trust?
Yeah, it's a very good point. They haven't really done much to do that. And so, and you know, maybe I might be being too cynical about it, and I should give them the benefit of the doubt. I really don't know how they're going to fix that, though. They would have to replace that whole fucking board under the sink. It's all water damaged out. Those guys aren't going to do that. The last time I called them to fix some water damage, the only thing they did was they put a new board on top of it. They screwed a new board on top of the water damaged board.
That's fucking
It's like
useless.
that's really your fix, is to just level it out with a new board instead of pulling out that warped water damaged piece of particle board that's probably going to be full of mold. They're like, yeah. But those are the same jackasses that put plastic valves in my kitchen sink. So they put plastic valves under the sink. Because my faucet, something went wrong with it. I had to get it replaced. And they replaced everything with plastic valves under the sink. And they leaked. They had a slow leak, like constantly. And I came and I told them over and over, I'm like, hey, there's a leak under my sink. Like, there's a leak under my sink, you guys. And I put in work order after work order, like, hey, I need someone to come take a look at the leak under my sink. And they never did anything about it for the longest time. And then we got new management, and then they sent someone out, and that guy put a board down. And I was like, wow, that's super fucking not impressive. But
oh boy,
yeah.
I don't like how contractors in America work. It seems like they can get away with so much shit.
It's not a contractor though. It's the apartment maintenance. It's the people who work for the apartment complex. It's the on-site maintenance staff.
Yeah, but that's still the same change. It is the same. It's the same idea, because the people doing this shit, they just keep doing a shit job because they're too lazy and too cheap to give out real fucking effort. Fucking hire someone with experience to it. Hire someone who knows how to do this shit, not just fucking You can use
Yeah.
duct tape only so much before it falls apart, dude.
Right. Well, and you know what the thing is, dude, is that I could fix that myself. I know how to fix that shit. I could do it. But that's money out of my pocket to fix it. And they're not gonna like give me money off my rent. They're not gonna fucking
Why not?
give me any sort of consideration.
No.
They're not, because it's fucking corporate.
What fucking
Because
rent
it's some
bullshit do
corporate
you guys
bullshit,
have? In
and they
Norway,
can't.
if we do services like that, it will take off the rent. That's like the standard in the contract. Like if you do something like that, it is just common courtesy.
I don't know if that is a thing for apartments here in America.
Well, then again, I live
There's
in
probably
a high trust society where the trust is slowly
Yeah.
decreasing. So it's probably a question of time before that shit happens to us as well.
Right. Well, and it's more a matter of corporate leadership, right? Like it's not a matter of, because the on-site leadership has no discretion on that shit. And because they have on-site maintenance, like any work you would do would ostensibly be completely voluntary, because if you need major work like that done, on-site maintenance should be doing it. They should be the ones doing it, even if they're not. So I think that's
make them do it when they won't, though.
Well, you can't. It's their responsibility. So that's the thing, is it's their responsibility to do it. Now, if they don't and something goes wrong, then you can sue them. But if they don't, and if they don't, you move. Like that's the solution. We have very bad tenant laws in Idaho. You move. That's the solution to a lot of the shit. It's like, what can you do? What's your recourse against it? Well, you don't rent from that company, which I will say, nobody's ever going to hear this from it's very unlikely that anybody will ever hear this, but don't rent from a Tomlinson company in Boise. They're terrible. They're, and that's the terrible thing. It's like, we're looking for a new place currently, but like most of the rentals are like, people don't, there's not very many people that are like, hey, this is my second house and I'm just renting it out to somebody for a little extra money. There's very few people like that. It's like, hey, I'm contracting with a management company and the management company is going to run everything and give me money at the end of the time. And the management company is going to set all the terms. And the management companies around here set the most ridiculous fucking terms. And like one of the places I was looking at, the rent was going to be the rent was going to be $1,800 a month, which was $1,850, which is like, you think 18,050 fucking kroner, crowns, whatever. But in order to move in, it was going to cost us, so it was going to cost us almost $5,000 for the upfront deposit, and then the rent for pets was going to be an additional $50 per pet per month. So it's like an extra $200 a month just to have pets. I was like, what kind of fucking commie bullshit is this? So they effectively they priced us out of that by far. And then I'm looking at a lot of the listings on like Craigslist and like the local websites. And some of them, there was one listing that kept coming up, and they put all the math in their listing. And it was another one of those like, hey, by the time you move in, you're going to pay us $5,000 before you even get a chance to pay your first month's rent. And it's like, are you people actually serious right now? Like, who the fuck, why are you taking advantage of people like this? Because you're only doing it because people are fucking desperate. People would only pay that because they are supremely desperate. Not because it's like reasonable, because it's not reasonable in any way. Like you're putting half the down payment for a fucking house down as deposit on rent for an apartment. Like that's unsustainable. It's untenable.
So it's supposed to just be 3 months
rent. Yeah, but so I flagged those listings. I flag them for removal every time. I'm like, this is a scam.
Yeah.
This is a scam. This is all this is. This is a huge ripoff.
So you fucking should. Jesus Christ.
And there's a lot of scammers on apartment listings too. It's annoying. There was one, like the house looked nice. It wasn't that far from my job. And I hit up the person and they're like, okay, well, you need to go to this website. I was like, hey, can we come by and look at it? And they're like, okay, well, before you even look at it, you need to go to this website and run a credit report and run this background check and give me your information. And I'm like, you are fucking high. You're fucking high. I'm like, I'm not giving, like, first off, fucking Ahmed or whatever your name is. No, fuck you. I'm not letting you steal my information.
You'll
Like,
never
second
give
off-
me your information.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds like, again, and that was the whole thread of my conversation with them. This sounds like, everything you're proposing sounds like a great way to get from my information stolen. And then they'd come back, well, no, you don't have to do that, just do this. And I was like, that also sounds like a great way for my information to get stolen. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm done. And they're like, well, that's on you. Like, yeah, I know you say that because I know there's some other sucker that's going to come along and you're going to scam. So that's really the unfortunate. So I flagged their listing and move on. That's all you can do.
Oh boy.
And the scam listings around here are getting really sophisticated too. Like they put down the names of actual realtors and shit like that. And like they'll put down realtor companies and all this. They'll fill in a lot of the information. And then you go look at the pictures and it's like, there's like the same 3 pictures on 4 listings by these guys. Like, oh,
What did you
it's just a bunch of.
promised DCG.
Yeah, it is. It's a bunch of fucking cheats trying to scam people. That's what it always is.
There's a reason why they get such shit.
Oh.
They get such a shit reputation. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, so we're off in the weeds again.
Oh, dude, we
Yeah,
left
way
the
far off
woods.
in the
We
woods.
left the woods
Yeah.
like a month ago. Holy crap!
So I'm liking where this is going. I really like where it's going. The shading is coming along really well.
Thank you. It's a bit basic, but I'll see what I can do. And after this, I'm gonna see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I'm able to add some of what's the word?
Like wood texturing.
Wood texture, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the grain of the brush I use is helping a lot. And for those wondering,
Yeah.
the brush I'm using is the construction pencil from the Jazz's pack. The brother of Shadiversity. He's a really darn good
Yeah.
artist.
Okay, speaking. Yeah, that's right. I remember. So we had a paint night at my house recently, where we did that every now and then. So one of my friends has just recently started painting minis, and he's getting way into it, which is pretty standard. When people get like. When you first start, and it happened to me too, when I first started painting minis, I got like hardcore into it. I ended up like getting all these tons of brushes, tons of paint. So now I have tons of brushes, tons of paint. I have all sorts of supplies. And so people come here to paint minis.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll send you some pictures of that. But we did recently. We did one of those, and I was thinking again, another thing is like, man, I should record this. I should just paint. I have the camera station set up. I just need to figure out how to
That's content.
get it
Do
going.
Fucking do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It is.
So
I mean,
speaking
the homeowner association screwed you over, so now you need to find
Yeah.
something else. And you do have your own YouTube channel. It is pretty
Yep.
damn cool. Everyone who hasn't been there, go there and look at it. The link is in the description down below. Give the dude some love,
Yep.
because the stuff he can make with the stencils and a spray can is magical.
Oh well, thanks. I appreciate that,
I'm fucking looking forward to next time we can do another art collab, dude. That was so cool.
dude. I know. So I'm getting just a straight up. My normal painting table was a folding table with stuff on it to help it, because I didn't want to paint on anything nice and fuck it up. So it's just because I knew I would mess it up. But I'm getting a patio table. I don't think I'm going to be able to paint on it, but I do have a laser cutter now, which is why I'm getting a patio table.
Laser cutter?
Yeah, I got a laser cutter, and
Like one of those handheld laser cutters?
no, like a 3D printer type laser cutter,
Oh, right.
an automated laser cutter. Yeah,
I guess
it's a really small one.
I started imagining like something with a plasma cutter from Dead Space. Sorry.
Oh man,
I
wish I had one of
so
those.
fucking cool.
Right.
Fucking homo
There's
association comes by and like, yeah, how about that?
Right. There's a channel, I don't know, probably seen it, called Styro Pyro.
Yeah.
The dude does crazy science stuff, and he orders like dangerous electronics off of like AliExpress and Temu.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
cheap Chinese, like not cheap, but like stuff that would be really expensive to get into in America, and he orders it on Temu. Like he ordered some lasers, and was doing crazy shit with them, and that's a great channel if you've never seen it, Styro Pyro. If you're into like goofy science shit.
I like burning styrofoam.
But yeah, I think that's probably how it started. Like it's probably where he got the name. He was probably doing the thing where you mix styrofoam and gasoline to make like the flaming arrows and shit. It's probably doing something like that.
Oh my god, that is
But
am I allowed to say what
yeah.
that is on YouTube?
Yeah, the homemade napalm kind of
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, probably shouldn't say that, but
And best
but
like censor it if you feel like it, but then again, the free world.
But there's not a teenage boy on the planet that doesn't know about that.
Fucking styrofoam and gasoline.
Right.
Who doesn't know that?
Yeah. I mean, I would bet that my son even knows that, even though he's never been in a place or a position where he could have taken advantage of it.
Yeah.
So
I was in a place and position to take advantage of it. My dad got really angry when I tried as a little kid. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah. Growing up in a small town in the country helps a lot with shit like that.
Yeah, it does. Especially when you start hearing.
You get to do a lot of wacky shit.
Especially when you start hearing that the town delinquent kid figured out a funny trick using styrofoam and gasoline.
Right.
And then everybody wants to do it, and that's when mom and dads get a little bit, shit, not again. Not
Yeah,
fire,
so-
didn't burn anything, I swear.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, back to the story.
All about it. We do tangents a lot here, don't we?
I know, we're just getting off.
Oh.
So, well, Mendigo's an interesting subject to draw. And he himself, like, he has a good story, but his story is really kind of limited in that because like I said, he's the tool.
Yeah, he's just a thing.
Right, like he's the anthropomorphized tool, which I think is where the anthropomorphization is another one of the leap off points. But the so and speaking of leap off points, like this book is the leap off point for the rest of the series, and it sets the stage and changes the expectations. Like at the end, it really sets the frame for the rest of the story, in that it sets Kendra up to be this champion of light kind of thing, and then the next book sets Seth up to be like a champion of darkness, but he's not a bad guy.
Well,
He's just in the same way. And
does darkness have to be evil is the question.
Exactly. That is a good part of it. And again, like we were talking about previously in this book, is how he does such a good job showing that the nature of the Fae as being light and dark more than good and evil, because not all of the dark creatures, like the dark creatures, will do evil shit, and it is in their nature, and of course you should expect it from them. But again, it's not necessarily evil. It's just darkness.
Yes.
Um,
It's sort of like
and so,
how
yeah.
the different courts of fairies in another book I totally haven't mentioned a million times before. The Winter Court is more predatory and unforgiving, but
Yep.
in no way is it more or less dangerous than the Summer Court. It's just that the Summer Court is warmer, where the Winter Court is just colder.
Right. It's more like, and in the Fablehaven universe, it's more like the light side is less likely to hurt you on purpose.
Yes.
But still as likely to hurt you incidentally because you're human and they don't know any better.
Yeah. And they're unhuman forces that just don't, in the end, even if they think they do, they will never truly understand you because they're not human.
Yeah.
If humanity doesn't truly understand humanity, fuck, nothing else does.
Yeah. So Seth, Kendra becomes the champion of light after she, gets touched by the fairies and brings all the fairies in to help save the family. And again, the families are the ones, or the fairies set everything right at the end. They recreate Hugo. They regather Mendigo up and they change his directive so that he will protect the people of the farm.
Yeah.
And so it's quite a bit of character growth. And of course the stories, they all, and that's the good thing about the books too, is that they have a good demonstration of the hero's journey. And that hero's journey is she's not a Mary Sue. Kendra is like the heroine of the story, but she's not Rey Skywalker.
That name should be banned one of these days.
Yeah, I know.
But you get special privileges to your friend.
Ugh.
You could say the R word.
But Mary Sue, we all know exactly. But because everything that came to her was unearned.
Yeah.
And so there was no hero's journey. There was no struggle. But in these books, there's a very clear struggle and hero's journey. There's a very clear, which is what makes them good young adult fiction.
Yes.
And I think more stories that have an unambiguous good and evil, but still there's a little black and white to it, but it's still light versus dark. It is still necessarily like good versus evil, on a very like real sense.
Yeah.
But there is still the meta of it.
Evil is more likely to use dark as light. Good is more likely to use light, but both sides can use both.
Yeah, and in the story, the fairy queen, she's very caring and benevolent, and she wants good things for her subjects. She wants her subjects to have which is have peace and security, which is why the shrines are powerful and protected. And that's why people, her followers will flock to the shrines. Excuse me, to protect them.
You need a new pair of lunch, buddy.
Yeah, no. We've had a nasty inversion here for the last week. Again.
Yeah.
That keeps happening, except for this time it's actual just cold air instead of smoke. Last time last time there was a big nasty inversion and we were recording. It was because there was smoke.
Yeah.
Now it's because it's just cold air sitting in the valley.
Yeah. Timing. These recording timings have not been kind to you. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's not your fault. It's just the area I live in is prone to those weather those meteorological patterns.
You say a lot of fancy words that I don't understand. I'm kidding. I know. I understand.
Yeah,
Meteorologisk is how we say it in Norwegian. Meteorologisk.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yep.
So,
Another example of how Norway just takes words from the English language is like, add a little bit of German to it.
No, see, I think what it is because that's just the those are the scientific terms, right? And that was kind of developed around almost a pseudo international language.
Yep.
Like a lot of those terms are created irrespective of the language.
I mean, a lot of terms are based on
so
language.
Exactly. It's like they've, yeah. We're gonna get into the weeds again on this one. So
let's get back to the story.
Yeah. So this is coming along. I know we've been a lot of weeds in the weeds on this one, but this is coming along really nicely. I do like it.
I'm using a little bit of that, you know, that painting doll you could find in some art stores.
Yeah.
Taking some inspiration.
Well, exactly. Well, and he's very similar to that, and that's kind of always how I picture him in a way, except for with the chains, you know, or not chains, the hooks, held together by gold hooks. You know, which again, body horror, creepy. Shouldn't move like that. Those hooks shouldn't function as joints. There's no muscle there. It's just golden hooks. Which that would be supremely unsettling to see. Honestly.
Just
if you're just looking at
the golden shine of the hooks.
Yeah, just the hooks sitting there as an arm's coming in, you're just like, oh my God. Like that hook just moved and there, oh yeah, it just, that would have to be, as a kid, which is what the kids are in this book, but even the adults, that'd have to be pretty terrifying for the adults in the book.
Yeah, see this hinge-joint motherfucker coming towards, like, no words, no nothing, just an automaton.
But again, that more
scary.
That body
again,
horror.
Humanoid things that moves away that it shouldn't.
Yeah, the weird disjointed.
Yeah. There's a reason why I keep mentioning the Uncanny Valley a lot, because it's a scary fucking valley.
Well, and at some point, I think in the books, I remember they do talk about him moving and like climbing something in a weird way that you wouldn't be able to do with regular joints. You know, because he doesn't have regular joints.
He's got the bonus of being technically just limbless, so he isn't limited by the movement we have to do.
Yeah, jointless. He's effectively like he doesn't have any range. He's got 100% range of movement in his joints.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know when you watch a really limber athlete move? There's a part of you thinks that's like, yeah, that ain't normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that a lot in skate competitions when I watch those. Because I like watching, I don't like sports a lot, but I like watching skate competitions and World's Strongest Man.
There's a lot of nice things to watch in those.
But
splits.
Oh no. Skateboarding competitions, not ice skating. No, yeah, nothing gay like that. It's skateboarding.
Yeah, I'm just watching it for the women. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom made me watch that shit growing up. Ew. It's like, no, thank you. But
the only reason it's like the only reason you watch women's sport is because the women themselves. Who cares about the sport?
That's why nobody watches the WNBA.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So back on Fablehaven. I think that having stories like Fablehaven that are good and accessible, like Harry Potter too. It's another good, accessible, like easy, like unambiguous good versus evil kind of story. You know, and it's unambiguous good versus evil. There are some layers of abstraction to it, but in the overarching theme is good people must stop bad people from doing bad shit.
Yeah, it's I don't know the quote, but
yeah, for evil to prosper, all it takes is for good men to do nothing.
Exactly, that's
something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly the one.
And that's that heroic action. And I think that fantasy stories, young adult fiction, and fantasy that help cement that, and not to cement it to, you know, make dichotomized thinking or anything like that, but more to cement the point that they should be good.
Yes.
That being good is something to aspire to, not just not doing evil, but actively being good. And so, it's they're good stories. And I know people like to rag on, especially Harry Potter, for some of the like simplistic, and then
It started off really
Rowling.
simplistic, but then it started.
Well, I mean, for
becoming
her,
more, right?
I'm gonna say for her on the nose depiction of some things,
Well,
right? And you know, like, but and people are like, oh, Cho Chang, his girlfriend Cho Chang. It's like, they're like, oh, she called her Cho Chang. Well, is that not a real fucking Asian name? Is that not a real person's name? Like, all of the names that she used for those people in her books, and it's like, because that's one of the main criticisms that J.K. Rowling gets. So her names are so on the nose for that. But it's like, those are real people's fucking names. They're real people out there with those names.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
just
are they caricatures?
It's just Western whining
Yeah.
moms whining about shit again. It's all they do.
Yeah.
And now, of course, the
It's-
college student retards are joining into you.
Yeah. Man, that's gonna lead into a tangent.
Not doing that here.
So these stories they're good and they're important for kids to have, especially in the lieu of having popular cultural stories passed down. And I always think of like in a tribal setting, in a medieval tribal setting, and like Aesop's fairy tales and Grimm's fairy tales and stuff like that, is that a lot of those were just stories that were handed down person to person. They were just told from one person to another, and not necessarily, they weren't always written down until they were.
Yeah.
But they're part of a heritage, you know, they're a cultural heritage that that all the people who have it and have listened to it share it.
Yes.
You missed a spot under his legs.
Yeah, I did, but I'm
Okay.
going to do something different. Like, whoop, there we go.
Okay. All right.
lazy
I'm not sure what
solution.
you were doing.
Oh,
It'd be,
I have a idea, but it's a stupid idea, but I'm gonna try it
Yeah.
anyway.
I didn't want to be autistic about it until I couldn't.
No. Don't never be afraid to fucking call out something when you're curious. That's kind of part of the whole thing here.
Yeah. So, so I think that the legacy of these stories, like these young adult fiction books, like Mortal Engines, that's another one. My son's really into Mortal Engines, or my oldest son was. City of Bones and all that stuff.
There's a lot
They're-
of cool
they're-
things in it, though.
Yeah, they're good to have. They're good for our children to have as like a cultural touchstone. Similarly to the reason why so many people are into Lord of the Rings and all that stuff is because it's like a cultural heritage touchstone. It's like a Western, it's a Western heritage touchstone that people share and fell in love with together as a culture, as a society.
It's a modern mythology. Exactly. What
Yeah,
it is.
exactly. It's a modern mythology.
And of course, it is centralized in England, but holy dude, it works everywhere. It speaks to
Yeah.
everyone. There's a reason why I love it beyond compare.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do one about Lord of the Rings one day, I'd be so down after we're done with the. A little bit.
Man.
Have we done this and a little bit more Elden Ring?
Yeah. Yeah, I figured I'd give us a little time on the Elden Ring and we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you see
But
what I'm doing here, right?
yeah, no, this is fantastic. And it really is, it's good. I like the trees. That's what I'm kind of like mesmerized watching the trees come together.
This is something I've never done before, by the way. This is just spur of the moment.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thanks.
The happy little trees in the background that aren't so
Look at
happy.
little trees. Just
The sinister little trees in the background.
yes.
running through the woods at night being chased by a disjointed wooden puppet horror. Yeah,
Totally
That's
not
have
gonna
to be-
kill
that-
you. It's not gonna kill you.
that's gonna be a rough. It's like, yeah, that also, yeah, that's gonna be a rough time. It's gonna be a rough night.
Oh yeah.
That's not. That's not a good time. That's not a
There's
time you
gonna
wanna
be a
be
therapist who's gonna be wondering what the hell am I doing here.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be some therapy bills in that person's future.
Oh yeah. Or if you're a man, you'd be like, I'm gonna repress
Yeah.
this.
It's gonna be some alcohol in your future.
Alcohol in the future, and then a lot of fucking coping. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
that didn't happen.
Help you, alcohol to help you sleep.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
There we go. So, yeah, this is.
so I'm.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
It
So
looks
far?
good, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, that looks good.
Grazie.
Like,
Okay, nice. Maybe I should make the trees a little bit darker.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just watching.
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm just paying attention. I'm getting hypnotized by the movement of the brush. So, yeah, cultural the things that we can share as a cultural, and even things that you can share as just a, like, we share this as a family.
Yeah.
You know, me and my boys have kind of shared this as a family, and so that's, it's like it's a cultural moment thing. It's a cultural thing for us.
Let's see.
There you go. If you darken him a bit, I think that would.
Yeah. So if I remove that one, but I do. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting. Let's put this one at 42 for obvious reasons, and
Yeah, that looks good.
I put this one on. Let's do both in 42. Extra dark, right there. Yes, that could actually do pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, how about I put it on 60?
Like, I think the dark looks really cool. Like, the darker looks cool. Makes the wood stand out a bit. Like the striations in the wood stand out a bit better.
Yeah, I'm putting that one on.
I know he doesn't. Yeah. Like, I know it doesn't stand out from the background as much as the like the bright white, but I think it looks like
Yeah. It's
darker
actually-
and more sinister.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one more thing, and
All right.
we should be good with this. Just because it's a bit important. I think if I
Yeah.
add a little bit of light here.
I saw a little short video of it was like somebody drawing, like they had just finished a drawing, and then they noticed a weird speck somewhere in their drawing, and they did it in Paint Shop. They finished a weird speck somewhere in their drawing,
Yeah.
and then it's like crap. And then the rest of the video is them trying to figure out which layer that speck is so they can erase it.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm sure, like, that's what makes me think of when you pull up all the list of layers, because it's like, oh crap, there's like
Dude,
100
this is
layers.
a black
on
and
that.
white. I hardly use any layers here, to be honest. When I do a
Yeah.
colored image, oh boy,
Oh yeah,
that's when you start seeing the layers of doom.
yeah. I know. I usually only need, when I'm making a stencil, I usually only need like 3 or 4 layers to get it coherent.
Yeah.
And then of course I have to flatten it down in the end. So like
Step on
3
it
layers
harder,
that have to be all flattened down.
Let's see. There we go. Giving the metal a little bit more sheen.
Yeah, give it some shine.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Because most of it
So-
is gold, so he gets a little bit more of a shine on it. Though there is matte metal, but you know.
Yeah. Oh no, I think these are supposed to be shiny gold.
Yeah.
You know, because he's magical,
Hey ho, gold.
kind of thing.
Gold works well on everything, especially magic, because reasons. They do like
Yeah,
that.
they
You have magic with like rules in it. It has its own internal logic. I like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah, it's especially in the way where its logic is consistent to the point where even magical people can use it. So it's like you can do a ritual while not being a sorcerer, but in order to use something that a sorcerer can just cast, right? You need to have like preparation. You need to gather like different energy in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that's kind of the thrust of this whole book, is them trying to gather enough. Well, they're trying to gather the keys to the demon prison, but they have to gather enough power to do that.
Yep.
So
There we go.
yeah.
Something along these lines. Maybe put him down to there, maybe?
Let's see. I was wondering, is there a way you can make his hand stand out a little more against those trees? His right hand there.
Let's see.
Like, I don't know if you go to the tree layer and lighten up a little bit behind his arm, I think.
Right.
Just to highlight the arm a little bit, maybe.
I can do that.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe a little bit more light here. That should be.
Yeah.
Man, I love doing this. I think the first. Oh wait, I think I know. First time I did a trick like this was during a Racer Fist art competition, which I didn't even. I didn't do well enough to even apply to it, but still. It was that Western sort of like a.
Oh yeah, that was a Ghost of the Badlands or something like that.
Yeah. I never been lucky with art competitions, but you know, that's just life.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, that should be it. That should be it.
Yeah, that looks good, dude.
Thanks. Thank you for joining in on this, dude. So,
Yeah, man.
This is what was the name again?
Mendigo.
Mendigo, not Mendingo. Mendigo.
Not Mendigo. Yeah.
Sort of like Wendigo.
Yeah, it's like Wendigo. I'm trying to find out because that means something in. It means something in Spanish. Mendigo does.
Serpent.
I think it does.
Was Taggart a Spanish?
Oh no, it means beggar.
Oh,
that's what it means, is beggar in Spanish.
Well, I
so
guess
which is kind of a.
He's begging for something, all right.
Yeah, he's a pauper, poor person, a beggar.
Yep.
Which makes sense when you find the circumstances where you find him at first, which is with Muriel in the hut in the woods as like a near homeless person, like the crazy old lady living in a shack in the hut in the woods.
Yeah, you're kind of a pauper at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, damn, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. You can do a lot with this one brush, dude. Of course, I cheated a little bit with a pixel brush to outline his silhouette so I could easier work with that. That's a little trick I learned, and that's a trick I will keep using because it makes my life easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll just wrap it up then, because we're done.
Yeah, I think that looks good, man. We call that one a done.
Well, with that, I would like to thank you, Dave, for joining me here. Anything you want to shill out?
Follow me on Twitter. I'm just some jerk. It's at Reverend Dave, REVERAND DAVE. And yeah, that's all I'm doing right now is just tweeting mean shit. And then my YouTube channel, Total Blackout Painting. All one word, Total Blackout Painting. If you're looking for it on YouTube. And of course, these are going to be linked in the description below. But yeah, You can check out my stuff there. I've got over 700 videos, hours of content. But yeah, check that out.
Yeah. And he makes really good content, and his spicy commentary on Twitter is always entertaining. Well, and if you... my channel is, of course, here, so you don't need to go to that. But if you want to go to my Twitter, in which I just do the regular spurging as well, and just around and do nothing productive at all, you can reach me there. If you like what you see and would like this on a shirt or a mug, or if you just want to hire me to make art for yourself, you can reach me either on my Twitter DMs, you can reach me on Discord, or at my Ko-Fi in the link down in the description down below. Down there. I said it down more than I had to. Good. Speaking is hard. So yeah. With that, I would like to thank you once again for joining me, Dave. Also, thank you to Robert Renato, who allows me to use his music for these videos. Thank you. His also channel down in the description down below. And a thank you to the poor Australian guy I have living in my basement who has to edit my videos. Thank you very much, Biscuit. I forgot thanking them once. I will not do that again because they do really good work, both of them. Well, with that, I'm going to close this video. Thank you all for watching. Again, thank you, Dave, for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure as always, man.
Yep. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, everyone.
Aloha.